Hi, this is Wanda Vitale. Welcome to another episode of the Empowered Empaths. I want to ask today, why aren't you going after your big dreams? I'm a certified life coach. I'm a certified dream builder coach. I teach quantum creation, and I have reinvented my life from the ground up when I thought there was no hope. When all these stories were running in my head about, well, it's too impossible, you're too old, you're this, you're that, I don't know how. And what I have found in the last several years in working with so many people is that why don't we go after what we want? It's because it could be because we think we can't have it, or we don't have the clarity to know what it is that we want. Most people don't look at creating an amazing life from the range of everything is possible. What would I love? Most people are looking at it through the lens of, well, I know what I don't want. I don't have enough money, so I want money. I don't have a relationship, so I want a relationship. Or I want my business to thrive because I don't have one now. We are missing the boat and selling ourselves short if that is how we're living our lives. You are the quantum field. You're it. You're everything. Creation is done and it's already finished. And it's part of creation being finished is that you are the way that it also expands. So when we say yes to some big dream, big audacious dream, something that fills our heart, we're actually inviting the powers of creation to work through us, to live through us, and to do the things that need to be done to translate that energy of whatever your big desire is, to translate that into form. So, why do you think you sell yourself short? Well, this is what I see all the time, and certainly I see it in myself. It's this idea that sometimes it could be, I don't know how to do this. I'm not good at that. So many people lately have told me, well, I'm an introvert. But here's what I want you to know. Unless it's on your birth certificate, it is totally made up and it's just not true. For many of us who were, let's just say, who might have been a handful as little kids, we were told, be quiet, or we were ignored, or we were just reprimanded for being our natural, buoyant little selves. And so many people like that grow up and think, well, it's just how I am. I'm just quiet. No, you're not. You're quiet because it's a defense mechanism. That's all it is. Something that I realized this past weekend as I was in a 3-day immersion with one of my coaches is a very subtle belief of holding myself back. That very subtle belief that I know some of you might have, that instead of stepping fully into your authority and your wisdom that life has given you, your attitude is, oh, just who am I? Like, no, it's just little old me. And I think for so many of us women, especially women that are midlife, and I still consider myself midlife, for so many of us that are midlife, we've bought into the paradigms that are out there about how women are. When I grew up, it wasn't spoken that women were supposed to get married and have kids. It wasn't spoken in my household about what I could or couldn't do, but it was there. When I grew up, it was just expected that you'd get married and have kids. I didn't do that. I didn't go that route. It was expected that there are certain vocations that you would pursue. I know someone who's about my age and whose mother was a chemist, was a scientist. And that would have been, in the 40s. That is phenomenal. It's very rare for women to do that in the 40s and even in the 50s. My friend's mother decided to go to law school when the kids were out of high school. And she looked at it like, oh, this is just no big deal. Like, I'm nobody. But I think that's what a lot of us do. And I think especially as we get into midlife, we look at our lives and instead of thinking, I have this big wisdom that life has given me, and I would love to share it. We shrink. It's so easy for some of us to shrink because of these ideas that we buy into. I'm too old. I should look a certain way. I'd love to hear in the comments what some of your thoughts are. But I see this with my clients who tend to be midlife, that they hold themselves back with this, oh, who little me. I can certainly do it. I've noticed it in me, and it doesn't serve anyone. How are you holding yourself back now? This is what I want to talk about in this video. What are you telling yourself? Are you saying it's not time? I don't know enough? Are you saying I'm not good with technology? I hear that one a lot. Or are you just thinking, well, I don't know enough to share? Listen, by the time we hit midlife, for most of us, life has given us a lot of wisdom through challenges, emotional maturity. One of the big things with midlife women is that, in general, we trust ourselves. We absolutely trust ourselves. Not everybody, but many of us do. And that is something that you don't have when you're in your 30s or even sometimes in your 40s. You have not been thrown off the boat enough, as I say. You haven't been thrown off the boat enough to trust yourself that no matter what happens, you're okay and you know what to do. And that is invaluable. Are you telling yourself you don't know that? Are you saying, I don't know where to get started to share my wisdom? I've got a really cool tool for that from my Dream Builder coaching program. We make so many excuses for ourselves, and they're just stories from our childhood that are coming up for us to acknowledge and to choose again. I'm not smart enough. I don't know enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm too old. I'm not a good communicator. I'm fill in the blank. We all have a plethora of ideas about what's wrong with us, but none of it's true. If you were a child who was criticized heavily when you were a kid, of course you're going to think, I can't do anything right. I'm not good enough. If you were ignored as a kid because your parents were emotionally unavailable or just weren't around, chances are you went inside and you just decided there was something wrong with you because this is what we do. So I want to ask you today, what is holding you back from the life that you're really here to live? You're here for a reason. You're here to be your authentic you, not a perfect, homogenized version of you, but the real, raw you and what you have learned. The world needs wisdom right now. The world needs your wisdom because we're in a world that is shifting and changing quite rapidly. And what I know is that most people do not trust themselves. Most people are just now facing some of the challenges that perhaps you've become a master at. If there were no limits, what would you love? If it could be easy, what would you love? If everybody supported you, what would you love? If you didn't have to convince anyone, what would you love? If it could fill your heart and make a difference, what would you love? If money didn't matter, what would you love? Start there, friends. Because I think now that we're moving into this age of Aquarius, the world needs us more than ever before. I don't know about you, but I have become unflappable. Does my mind still come up with limiting ideas and triggers with perspectives about my life? Yes. But do I listen? Of course not. You have some wisdom that you're here to share, and I would invite you that now is the time. Not after you do the cleanse, not after you get your ducks in a row. That's your nervous system trying to keep you safe. Now is the time to start to think about your answer to those questions that I ask. Anything was possible. What would you love? If it didn't matter, if the results didn't matter, if no one booed you, what would you love? And if money wasn't an issue, what would you love? Most people do not understand that reality is a projection. This is what I teach and live. Reality is just a projection. It's a mirror, and it's always projecting who we are being on the inside, what and who we're aware of being. That thing that you call your personality is all made up. It's mostly a defense mechanism because of the world and how you grew up. But we can create anything. We are the actor, we are the producer, the director, and the movie is our life. And your dream, your big dream that you would love to have happen is exactly what the world needs right now. It's just how it works. The action that we take is done through us. We are inspired. I have an entire program on this, and I'll drop a link to contact me if this sounds interesting. I really believe that it takes many of us, just like that adage that it takes a village to raise a child. I would say that it takes many of us right now with our wisdom, the different areas of wisdom that we have, to raise a world in consciousness, to keep so many people steady that don't feel steady. And maybe you don't feel steady now, but once you understand the laws of the universe and how to work them, you really understand that this is just a simulation. That's all it is. It's just a simulation. And that we are here to be in the world and not of the world completely. And we're not here to suffer. We're not here to put up with anything. We're here to have a life that we love to wake up to. Let me know what your answer to those questions might be. But you are here to contribute in some way. And it may be more in the limelight, or it may not be. It may be silently in the background. Let me know. Thanks for listening. And if you haven't hit subscribe yet, do this. If you think this will help somebody, please share. What I've learned is that absolutely anything I can imagine has a path to it, the easy path, and that whatever I've imagined already exists. And the only thing that's missing is that version of me experiencing it. And I want you to wake up like I do knowing that you love your life in every way and that you are unflappable.